You are standing in a room full of people. There is music, there is laughter. Someone nearby is telling a story and the whole group leans in. You are holding a drink you stopped tasting 20 minutes ago, and somewhere underneath all of it, quiet and stubborn and impossible to explain, there is this feeling. You are completely alone, not physically. Physically, you are surrounded. But your nervous system does not register the bodies around you as connection. It registers something else entirely, something closer to distance. And the strangest part is that you cannot explain it to anyone in that room, because from the outside, you look perfectly fine. This is not shyness, this is not social anxiety, and it is almost certainly not something you imagined. What you are feeling has a name in neuroscience, and the reason it happens is far stranger than you have ever been told. Your brain does not measure loneliness by counting people. It never has. Loneliness, according to the late neuroscientist John Cacioppo of the University of Chicago, is not a social condition. It is a biological signal. The same way physical pain tells your body that something is wrong with your flesh, loneliness tells your mind that something is wrong with your connection. It is an alarm, not a personality flaw, not a weakness, an alarm. Cacioppo spent decades arguing that loneliness functions like hunger. You do not feel hungry because food does not exist. You feel hungry because your body needs it and is not getting it. Loneliness works the same way. You can be surrounded by food and still be starving if none of it is reaching you. That is exactly what happens in a crowd. Your body is present, but your nervous system is scanning constantly for something that proximity cannot provide. It is scanning for attunement, for the feeling that someone in this room actually sees you, not your face, not your name, you. And when it cannot find that signal, it does something remarkable. It begins to interpret the crowd itself as a threat. Here is where the science gets uncomfortable. A 2023 study published in Psychological Science by researchers at the University of Southern California used brain imaging to examine how lonely people process the world differently. What they found was striking. Lonely individuals showed brain activity patterns that were uniquely dissimilar to everyone else in the room. Non-lonely participants, by contrast, showed brain activity that was remarkably similar to each other. They were, in a measurable and literal sense, on the same wavelength. Lonely people were not. Their default mode network, the part of the brain responsible for interpreting social meaning and narrative, was processing reality in its own private language, a language no one else in the room was speaking. This is why you can be at a party and feel like you are watching it through glass. Your brain is not broken, it is isolated in how it is processing everything around you. And more people in the room does not fix that. In many cases, it makes it worse. A 2021 study published in Scientific Reports tracked over 750 participants in real time using a smartphone application. The researchers wanted to understand how the environment affected loneliness moment to moment. What they found defied common sense. Feelings of overcrowding were actually associated with increased loneliness, not decreased. More bodies in the space made people feel more alone, not less. The crowd was not a solution, the crowd was part of the problem. Think about the last time you felt most seen, most connected. It was probably not at a party, it was probably a quiet conversation. A moment when someone said something that made you feel like they had been reading thoughts you never said out loud. Connection, real connection, does not scale. It does not happen in rooms of 100 people. It happens between two people who have for a moment stopped performing and started being honest. But here's the part that most people never talk about. The reason you feel lonely in a crowd is not just about the crowd, it is about what the crowd triggers inside you. Julianne Holt-Lunstad, a psychologist at Brigham Young University, has spent years studying the health consequences of loneliness. Her research, which has been cited by the U.S. Surgeon General, found that chronic loneliness carries health risks comparable to smoking 15 cigarettes a day. The chronic part matters, because what the science shows is that loneliness, once it takes hold, starts to reshape how you see social situations before you even enter them. Your brain, trying to protect you, begins to treat other people as potential threats rather than potential sources of comfort. You walk into the room already half convinced that no real connection is available, and because you are scanning for rejection instead of openness, you find evidence for it everywhere. The person who did not make eye contact, the conversation you were not included in, the laugh that happened while your back was turned. You are not imagining the distance. You are creating the conditions for it without knowing. This is the trap, and it is remarkably difficult to escape once you are inside it. But here is what no one tells you. The exit is not more socializing. It is not attending more events or forcing more small talk or putting yourself out there in the way that well-meaning people suggest. The research points somewhere different. What breaks the cycle is quality, not quantity. One conversation where you say something true. One moment where you let someone see something you would normally edit out. One interaction where you stop performing okayness and let something real surface. The nervous system is not looking for a crowd. It is looking for one person who receives you. And here is the cruelest irony of all. You are probably not the only one in that room feeling it. Research from the Harvard Business Review found that 50% of CEOs report feeling lonely in their role. 1 in 5 Americans feels lonely on any given day. The room you are standing in, the one full of music and laughter and people leaning in to catch the punchline, is statistically full of people who feel exactly what you feel and are hiding it for exactly the same reasons. Everyone performing, nobody connecting. So the next time you are standing in a room full of people holding a drink you stop tasting, feeling something you cannot quite name, remember this. Your nervous system is not malfunctioning. It is doing precisely what it was designed to do. It is telling you that proximity is not the same thing as presence, that being surrounded is not the same thing as being seen. The loneliness you feel in a crowd is not a flaw in you. It is a signal. The question is whether you are willing to follow it somewhere quieter, somewhere truer, and let someone actually in. You are standing in a room full of people, and now you know exactly why that has never been enough.